And welcome to another great show of the Vision Alignment, where we all have to understand we all have blindness in our lives. If we can understand our blindness and we can understand our blind spots, but on top of that, if we can understand our vision and what it means to have vision, if we can have those blinders on at times and at other times take them off, but if we have those blinders on at times and focus on our vision, know that our vision needs to be aligned with our core beliefs, our core goals, our core values, our core strengths. Then we're going to be much more successful, much more happy. And there's a lot that goes to that. So thank you all for joining us here today. Without any further ado, and by the way, we have got a great week lined up for you this week. It's going to be great to have all the people on that are coming on this week, but next week is going to be phenomenal as well. But there's really no better guest than the speaker that's coming on today, and that is our good friend, Mr. Dave Caperton.
Hey, Brian.
Hi, Dave. How are you?
Oh, I'm awesome. I'm having a beautiful morning here. It's the sun is shining, and I feel like I'm just resonating with this beautiful day. So yeah.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. But Dave, answer me a question, if you would.
Okay.
What is your first recollection of knowing your vision?
My first recollection of knowing my vision, I'm going to be a little coy with you because I'm going to ask the question, which time? And I'm not trying to be cute here. Well, a little. But
as much as you can be.
What I'm trying to express is that it hasn't just been a single vision, right? I think that what you just mentioned in your opening, that your core values and your core beliefs, that's kind of the foundation. But the vision can change as you make your journey. And so mine has changed a number of times over the decades. So I think what I'd like to talk about is being able to navigate the dynamics of the changing vision, depending upon where you are and what challenges you face and what's, the next fork in the road.
If you want to hear more, stay right there. And we're back. Dave, before I get to you, I want to encourage our listeners that are online to put in a hashtag live. If you're listening live, if you're listening to this on replay, put in a hashtag replay. And as always, share this video out with as many people as you can think of, because that's really where this begins to grow. This whole community begins to grow. We begin to invest more in others. And that is really where happiness begins, is where we are investing in others. So, and by the way, if you would, please put a picture of your self, a selfie, of you winking. And when you wink, begin to think about what makes you unique, because I know what makes me unique. And it's not my eye. What makes me unique is my positive personality. I'm able to share my story and connect with other people in order to make their lives better. So if you would, please put in a picture of you winking and hashtag Brian with one eye, hashtag winking without Wagner, and then also tag me on it. And then you're going to be entered into a raffle to win a free copy, signed copy of my book. Sometimes it does take a brain surgery. Dave, what a great show we've got lined up for you today. Tell us a little bit more about your vision.
Well, I'm first I want to talk more about that contest because I want to get in on it. So I want a copy of your book. I don't have your book. I need to read.
You don't have my book?
Oh. Not so loud. Even my best friends don't know I don't have your book. No, I do not have your book. I need to get a copy of that. So, but do you have my book?
No.
Oh well, here's my book. I'll just pass it over to you. There you go.
Here's mine. Here's mine.
Just give it here. Give it here. Oh, awesome. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
But no, that's great. I like that you said a signed copy because now it'll skyrocket in value.
Oh yeah, exponentially.
You know what I said? I was like, this better not end up on eBay. So anyway, your question. Back to your original question. When did I first realize my vision? Say it for me again, so I can.
What was your first recollection of your vision, of knowing your vision?
Okay. And the first recollection I have of what really kind of made me feel like maybe that's my purpose, right? And that first vision was probably way back in elementary school when we were doing a little thing in class, a little kind of play that we were supposed to do in class. And I kind of went off script and I got laughs.
Shocking.
Yeah, I got laughs. And then, of course, it was sort of a Pandora's box because then the teacher kind of had to reel me in because I was playing to the room, you know. I was like, wow, this is great. And so I was sure then that what I want to do is I want to be a comedian, you know. And those were kind of my early heroes. I love people who made people laugh, you know. I love all the old shows that I watched. You know, I used to tell people, like, you know, well, other kids were collecting baseball cards. You know, I was memorizing, you know, Robert Klein albums. You know, I was so you know, that was kind of my first vision for myself was I can make people laugh, and so that's what I want to do. But it didn't stay that way because as I got older, I realized, well, that's probably not something that's a real possibility. So I kind of set it aside and I thought, you know, what do I really want to do that's a real job? And I realized there were people who were such influences on me as I grew up, teachers primarily, besides my parents, who were wonderful mentors of mine for a whole lot of reasons. But the adults outside of family that really made a difference in my life were the teachers. And I thought, wow, that's something that must be great to know that you have that kind of influence. And so when it came time to choose, you know, what's your career going to be? I thought, that's it. I'm going to be an educator, right? And so I did that. And I got my degree and started teaching high school English and did that for 11 years. And at some point in that, I kind of returned to the, I want to make people laugh again. And so I wrote my stand-up act and I started doing first, you know, these competitions. And pretty soon I had bookings. And so I was like, wow, I'm a real comedian, right? And I got to do some radio, and so I began to write comedy. And so all of those things were little steps on the path. And I thought, well, there's my vision for my life. You know, I'm a teacher, and now maybe I'll kind of revive that childhood dream I had of being a touring comedian. Mm-hmm. but I really had not figured out the destination yet. The vision was just the vision that was the horizon then. Does that make sense?
It only took you so far, right?
Right. And I could only see where, you had big dreams. You think, well, that, and then you move to LA and get on the Tonight Show and boom, next thing you know, you got a Showtime special. Right. And I only had that horizon out just a little ways in my thinking and my vision of, what I wanted to do with that. But as I progressed along that path, something happened, and that was, this is not really fulfilling any great purpose. I just felt like, I felt like what I was doing when I was teaching, that was significant. This seems frivolous, right? And it was at that point that on one of my radio spots that I would do each week, I met somebody who was in this industry, in speaking, and Phil Sorrentino, and he said, you've had him on the show. And, he gave me my opportunity to start speaking. And I thought, there it is. It's those two things together. And that, for now, 25 plus years has been what I've been doing and what I've been passionate about. But what I'd like to kind of get into today is, there are times when that vision you're so full of passion for it. And then other days when you question it. And I think everybody has those moments, there's an old story that, there are certain kind of stock stories that particularly the beginning speaker begins to tell, and they think, they discover something like the starfish story.
Right.
They put the starfish back in the sea. It's like, you never make a difference with other. Well, it makes a difference to that one. Oh, versus
that's original.
Yeah. And so we use these kind of, people use these kind of warmed over stories. Well, there's one that's almost as cliche as the starfish story. And it's the one about the fellow who's seeing these guys building something, and they're laying bricks, right? And he stops and asks a fellow, so what are you doing here? And he's, well, I'm laying block, laying bricks. That's what I'm doing. And he goes back to, smoking a cigarette and just going about his business. And then he sees another guy who's just he's got an energy, a passion about it. And he says, what are you doing? The guy says, I'm building a cathedral, right? And, again, cue the violins, right? It was like, oh, that's it. We've got to be building our cathedral, right? That's our vision, that final result of what it is we're building here isn't about laying block. It's about building the cathedral. And that's great. I think we do need that kind of inspiration. But some days you're just laying brick, right?
Yeah.
Some days the journey that we're on, it gets a little dismal. I've been in places where, you get a big stage, you get 1,000 people in the room. I do something that, tell a story that makes them laugh, and it comes rolling at me like ocean waves. And you go like, this is the coolest thing in the world. And you're put up in a 4-star, 5-star resort, and you feel kind of like, here it is, because it feels pretty good. And then there are the days when I'm pulling in at 3:00 in the morning at a Motel 6 in Hazard, Kentucky, because I took a wrong turn, and my event starts at 7 a.m. Right? Oh. Or I landed after being on air, on flights for 18 hours, headed to Swift Current, Saskatchewan, in Canada, and I finally, after I don't know how many different flights, I land still 2.5 hours from my destination that I have to drive a little car. And there are all these storms just moving across the plains of Saskatchewan in the middle of the night driving. And somebody asked me right then, they said, hey, where are you going, man? What's your vision? My answer in those moments would have been, you know what? I'm going that way. I'm just going that way, right? I'm going in the direction of what I know my purpose is. But today, I'm not feeling the cathedral, right? Today, I'm just trying to put a course of bricks down, right?
Laying bricks.
Right. Some days we're just laying bricks. And I think it's great to inspire ourselves and remind ourselves that we're about something else, that our vision isn't about what we're doing now. It's about what we're creating in a longer term.
Mm-hmm.
But there are two things about that. One is it doesn't always stay static. Sometimes the journey we're on is the journey we think we're on, and the destination and the vision we think we have. And then something happens and it refines our vision and it changes our trajectory and it alters our course. And then all of a sudden we're headed somewhere else because we found a new purpose. And I think when we talk about vision, we're really talking about what's your purpose. And there's nothing wrong with saying, what's my purpose now? Because my purpose has not been the same all the way through.
Right.
Their foundation has been, the core values and the beliefs that I had, that this is important work to do, that sharing with people, the idea that finding joy is something that can be an intentional process. And it should be a mission level goal because it's part of it's a smart part of a success strategy. That's really my purpose in doing what I do. I deliver that with humor. So I get to scratch that little itch, right? Because it opens people up emotionally. But the purpose and the vision that I have is I want one person to know that they have the power to be an influence in the culture where they work, the people that they work with, to create joy. And that, when it's mission level, can change the outcomes for everyone and create an authentic success. So that's kind of the unchanging part.
Yeah.
Day to day, that hasn't always been the case because there was a point, we've all been through this tough pandemic. We're doing this kind of stuff. And it's been a period of growth because it's been a period of challenge. The adversity of the last year has changed you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anybody in our business of speaking for conferences and doing corporate events and training? Is there anybody who hasn't been affected by it? No. I don't know of anybody. Everybody's seen their business contract by at least 50%. Mm-hmm. It's been incredible. And it's been something and it's really challenges. But here's the thing. I've been doing this for enough years. This is not my first rodeo with challenging times,
Oh, I was going to say, it's your first pandemic.
Yeah, it's my first pandemic. But as far as there's been at least two others that disrupted, not as long. One of them, the downturn of 2008, which I didn't really feel for about a year because of bookings that were already in place. And they went ahead with most of them, right? But when they began to cancel those and began to scale back on how many conference keynotes they even needed in on-site events or off-site events, I was really devastated as far as the business was concerned, and I questioned my vision. Right? I questioned whether or not I needed to do this, and I think I've shared with you. I know at least privately that what kept me afloat was eBay, right? I found a place where I could buy jeans for a few bucks, right? Yeah. And then sell them on eBay for a markup. And I went up to the eBay store. That's like, how do you stay in the speaking business, Dave? Well, at one point I had to sell my pants. So.
Now not everybody can say that.
Not everybody can say that, right? And of course, since we're only from the waist up now, it wouldn't happen. But who knew, that this. But if somebody had asked me then, hey, what are you building, Dave? I'm like, man, oh man, you know what? I'm just trying to I'm just headed that way, right? I'm just putting down some bricks today.
Yeah.
I want to stay with this. What kept me from abandoning what I do, what I have the privilege of doing, was that vision, was the core values, was the absolute rock solid belief that this mattered and that this was my calling, right? This was my vision and my purpose in my life. And so if I've got to do something else for a while, I've got to take a detour. You know, we're traveling on our journey. Sometimes the road, we find out the bridge is out. We got to take a detour. It doesn't mean that the destination's still not up ahead. We got to get around it, right? Mm-hmm. So what we've been going through in the last year is a detour. But it's a detour that has also maybe set us on a new path. Not everybody will come out of this with the same vision that they went into it with. It'll be refined. It may be totally changed. And so it's always good to realize the vision isn't something that's static. It's dynamic. This is a journey. And sometimes it gets really rough. But hang in there and always ask yourself the question, what now? You know, what next? What does this mean to my purpose? And what does this mean to my vision? Was it right then, or was it just right for then, right? Maybe now I'm about something else, you know. I mean, some of the greatest, most successful companies that we've ever heard of were launched during the Great Depression. Mm-hmm. And you think, well, okay, it was a time of great upheaval. It certainly shook out a lot of the, you know, the detritus, the folks who really were not as aligned in their vision, and they tried to keep doing things the way they always did them, right? And so they were totally derailed and stopped. And then there were those who went, hey, what's up? There's something new here. Mm-hmm. And some started up in that and found an opportunity in all the disruption. Others, they just altered what it is they did, and they found out, wow, you know, we thought this is what our purpose was, but then we found that our purpose was actually something else. So when you asked me that question, you know, what was your first moment of knowing your vision? The which one is right, because even from the time that I started speaking and doing my programs, it changed what I thought I was doing it for. And so, and it may change again, you know. Yeah. So where I am on my, you know, on my journey is, this is my vision, but it may not be my final vision, right? It may not be, you know, it's a path that's going to take you from not point A to point B, but to all over the place, and where the washouts and rough roads, and you're constantly going to have to go tweak the vision. Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
Is this your vision then for today? It continues?
What's that?
Your vision for today is a continuation of where your vision was before, or has it changed?
It has changed somewhat. You know, I think it's not in a direction of, oh, I need to do something totally different. But the very fact that I've got to deliver it in a different way means that I've got to recraft how it is and what people really need. Because what I was doing before, if you'd asked me, well, what's really your brand and your purpose? What's your little, you know, your value prop? I could have rattled off to you something very different than what I think the need is now. See, we got to keep it dynamic, because the need that we're trying to fulfill is changing all the time. And so the need now, what I'm seeing is, and this is kind of the road we're on just now, is, look, we're more divided than we've ever been. Mm-hmm. We're seeing in our culture all kinds of fissures along every line you can think of, you know, racial, socioeconomic, religious, political, we're just broken into 1,000 pieces right now. And we don't know how to find common ground. And we're also, every single person is traumatized by what we've been through. Many of them in ways that they've lost loved ones or several members of their family. You hear those stories. And there are certainly, everybody has been through something where they're going, wow, I'm worried for the world that we're living in. I don't even know what the future is. So we're all worried about similar things. So you would think that there's an opportunity for common ground in this setting that would be a moment of unity. But no, we're not really seeing that. We're seeing people kind of retreat into their tribes and say, I'll just blame and fear and I'll resent these other folks.
Yeah.
So we're seeing all this. So my vision for 2021 is not out of alignment with my long-term vision of creating, of saying that, I want to be someone who brings the message that you have the power to bring intentional joy to the culture in which you work and to make it part of your long-term success strategy. But I would say in the short term, we need to find some ways, and I want to help with this, to create common ground and to heal with compassion and humor. That's how my vision has changed for 2021 because of 2020. I realized that's where I need to focus. And so that has been a shift. There used to be an assumption in what I did that we're all kind of folks who value the same things and we want the same things. But I realize now it's like, no, we're all feeling a little scarred from this past year. And we're certainly divided. Mm-hmm. And the tough thing is like, what's the way back? So I'm changing and realigning my mission and my vision to be responsive to that, because the road has changed, and so if I've got to change with it, or else I risk becoming irrelevant.
Yeah. Well, there are a few people on here I want to make sure we recognize. We're getting towards the end of our time for today, but who is it? Eric Bam, he's on. He is a happy Monday. Yeah, let's freaking go. He's happy to be on it. And then Ramon, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
He talks a good talk as well, and yes, he knows that we must have vision. And then, of course, our good friend Ted Legal. Good morning, Ted.
Legal.
Awesome. So we've got just a couple minutes left. So let's. I know you're going to be back on Wednesday, but let's set up Wednesday and talk about what we're going to talk about on Wednesday. Are we talking about common ground? Are we talking about what?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about common ground. How do we accomplish common ground in a place where there's not a lot that we can see? It's certainly not, we're going to find common ground politically. We're certainly not going to find it in the way we worship. We're certainly not going to be able to find common ground in racial identity. So where do we find it? I have a suggestion or two.
All right. Then that is the key. All of you need to come back and listen on Wednesday on how we're going to find common ground. Thanks, Dave. Hey, would you hang out in the green room for a little bit?
Oh, yeah?
I'll close out the show, and I'll be right there.
You got snacks in there, right?
Okay. There's all kinds of good stuff. All kinds.
I'll read your book.
All right. Thanks. Wow. What a great show. A lot of good goodness comes from Dave and everything that he has to offer. We've got more goodness coming up here tomorrow. Don't know exactly who I have on the schedule for tomorrow, but it's going to be a great speaker. So what's tomorrow? Tomorrow is March 9th. And then Wednesday will be Common Ground. We're going to talk more with Dave Kemperton about common ground and how we find common ground. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope you are as well. If there's ever anything that I can do for you, please let me know. Please, and as always, keep one eye on the road.